And welcome to another episode of The Naked Truth. I'm Dr. Tracy Andrus, your host. So glad you're able to join us again on today. God is good. We thank you for tuning in. But today we want to talk about another topic that I think is most interesting, and that is the last honest election. Okay, the last honest election. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And some of you may be wondering, why am I talking about the last honest election? Well, there are several reasons why I'm talking about it, but most of all, because like our president says, Donald Trump, we have a very rigged, jacked up system in America on today. That's right, our election system, man, is flawed, is all messed up, and that's why millions of people, we've lost a lot of trust in our electoral process. You know, people don't even want to go to the polls anymore. Right now in America, and here it is after Labor Day 2020, we still wondering, will the Russians try to interfere with our election this year? We're less than 2 months away from Super Tuesday, November the 3rd, with the biggest election that this world, in America at least, biggest election America has ever been in, and that is the election of President of the United States in 2020 between Donald Trump and Mr. Biden, our vice president who's running for president. Man, this is a very serious election. We're in the middle of a pandemic right now. The economy has gone south. People out of work. You know, they're cutting off unemployment. People getting evicted from their homes. The schools are out. You know, everything is virtual. You know, right now we're in a very pivotal position in America. So today we're talking about the last honest election. I want you to know that, you know, we've not always had elections like we have now. Prior to 1860, you know, when the secret ballot was introduced, you know, people came in, they wrote down the name of their candidate, placed it in a box, a sealed box, and after all the votes were cast, they would empty the box and they would just count all the ballots, and that's how they decided who won the election. That was very simple then. But today, we rely on technology and software to record our electoral choices. And that, you know, a lot of times that's just not going to get it. Not in America, it's not. Because think about it, folks. Anytime you let software calculate your votes, then there's a great chance that somebody can come in and lie. Somebody can come in and change the software. Somebody can come in and they can manipulate your system. And we know that we've seen it here in America already, where people have gone into the voting machines and manipulated the machines, where I don't care how many votes are cast for a particular candidate, that candidate cannot win because of the way the machines are rigged. So why you say why do you think I'm talking about the last honest election? Because as it stands today, you think about it. You know, if we're in a tight race, all it takes is hackers to get into one state's voting machine in a swing state, and they can swing the whole election whatever way they want for whatever candidate they want, if these software engineers know what they're doing. We have to keep in mind, remember this, somebody built these machines, and they know all about the machine. They know how to calculate it, they know how to calibrate it, and they know how to manipulate it. You know, this is what we call the naked truth. This is news from the black perspective. You hearing Tracy Andrus, but you really also hearing the voices of millions of other black folks who think just like I think. You know, and we ask ourselves, why should we vote? You know, if the system is already corrupt, is already messed up, manipulated. Right now, we have 3 major countries right now that we're concerned about with our election. And that's Russia, China, and Iran. And we all know right now in America, well, I'm not going to say we all know. I don't want to, sound like, everyone knows. But I will say this. The majority of us know that the Russians are sending out their trolls all on social media, and they are backing our President Donald Trump. We know that. Regardless to what Donald Trump said, we know it. We understand that the Chinese are also sending out trolls, and we believe that they're going to support Biden and Harris. And then the Iranians, of course, are going to support Biden and Harris. I'm pretty sure they will. Okay, because of the relationship and the nuclear deal with America, the way things are right now. But you know what? This should not be anywhere. The Russians shouldn't be interfering with our election. The Chinese shouldn't be interfering. Neither should the Iranians be interfering with our election. And we all know that, man, you know, at the end of the day, we talking about money. We talking about how to persuade people to believe what you want them to believe. So, you know, if the Russians get on there and they talk bad about Kamala Harris and talk bad about Joe Biden and put in all kind of nasty ads and different things, of course, they're trying to sway the vote in favor of the Republicans. And if the Chinese get in and they say bad things about Donald Trump and say bad things about his administration and bring up all these things like right now, look at what everyone is talking about, something that now some people say that it has been verified. Here on The Naked Truth, we try to verify as much as possible the news before we bring it to you. Because remember, we don't make the news. We just report the news from the black perspective. We are a news commentary podcast. We take the news, we're not putting any spin on it. I don't care whether it's in our benefit as Democrats, black folk, or what. I'm not putting no spin on it. I'm just telling you how many black folk feel about current situations in America. So right now, you know, let's look at, you know, we have a postmaster general right now, Lee Joy. This man right now, from what I understand, even from our own president, Donald Trump, on yesterday, said that he's willing to actually open up an investigation on the Postmaster General, because many people believe that he actually paid people who was under his leadership in his departments to contribute money to Republican candidates, and then he turned around and reimbursed them for the money that they actually paid to the other candidates. You know, hey man, look, this is corruption at the highest level. You know, poor folk, black folk, brown folk, and even poor white folk. We're not even involved in that kind of corruption. This is corruption at a very high level, where someone would do something like this. And then, you know, you talk about voting and enfranchising folk. Enfranchise instead of disenfranchise. You know, when folk go to jail, one of the first rights they take away from you is your right to vote. And don't think that, you know, that's strange, because that's what they want to do. Take away your right to vote. Remember, if you live in a democracy, then the person who controls the ballot box, that's who's going to control the power in America or in any democracy, is at the voting polls, the voting booth. And then, you know, we talk about the secret ballot. The secret ballot, sometimes called the Australian ballot, came to being in the 1860s. Okay, prior to that, man, all ballots were just written down. And you know what? I have a big problem with the secret ballot. I do. I'm be honest with you. Hey, I'm a Democrat. I'm voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I don't care who knows it. That's my right. That's my choice. I ain't got to go behind no booth or no curtain in order for me to do that. If we want to have honest elections in America, let me tell you what we need to do. We need to move the electronic voting machine, the boxes, and all these curtains and all that. Man, look, we can put 2 people out there, or 3, or however many candidates that's running. And normally by the time it's the major election, it's only one candidate, a Democrat, going against a Republican after the primary is over. So we can put people out. I don't care if they're sitting at the same table. You cast your vote in the open for your candidate. You cast yours every time they do it. You record it, and you keep it 100. That's the only way we're going to have a fair election in America. Because even if you use the paper ballots that we put in the machine and goes in and come out and it counts, and we say after a while we're going to tabulate those. Let me tell you something. People lie even with the paper ballots. They can tabulate and say whatever they want to say. If you're not there to count it, you don't know how many votes people actually receive. The system is flawed. Let me tell you something else from the naked truth. I want every mayor and every governor of every state, whether it's Democratic or it's Republican, regardless of what your state is, I want you to think about this. Every person that's locked up in the county jail or the city jail in your state or in your jurisdiction, they deserve a right to vote if they have not been convicted of a felony. Remember, there are over 1 million people sitting down right now in jails that have not been to trial yet. They've never been convicted of a felony. They have just as much right to vote in your county and in your city as anyone else. But the problem is, many people will not get them a ballot. They will not mail it to them and they will not bring it to them because, let's just keep it 100. Most of the people that's in jail, when we think about inmates, we think about black folks. And we attribute black folks to Democrats. So a lot of times we don't want them to vote. Whereas if you go to Maine or Vermont, where less than 1% of the population is black, you can have a felony conviction and still vote in prison. Think about that. A felon in Maine and Vermont able to cast their vote in any election while they still locked up in prison. And then you have other folks in other jurisdictions where you mainly have high percentages of black folk. You can't even vote when you get out of jail. Man, tell me what's right and what's wrong about that. A whole lot. Think about it. So I'm encouraging every one of you, mayor, NAACP president, go to your county or your parish if you're in Louisiana and ask your sheriff, hey, is it okay for us to bring in ballots and let folk fill them out if they've not been convicted of a felony? And if they're not registered to vote and you still have opportunity to register them, you can register them. The law says that you cannot stop a man or a woman from voting if they have not been convicted of a felony and they have a right to vote. Regardless to where they are at, they still have a right to vote. If you let people in the military vote from overseas, you also can have guys, men and women who are locked up in jail vote also. So I'm saying that we need to get on our business and take care of the business. I know you're going to get some blowback. Some of these sheriffs are going to say, hey, they can vote if they want, but I'm not giving them a ballot. You know what? If you put enough pressure on them, they're going to give them a ballot because it's their right. And if you find anybody in jail and they write their mama, daddy, brother, sister, wife, husband, or whoever, and say, hey, I would like to vote and I need to get a ballot, if they don't allow you to bring the ballot inside the jail, guess what your next step? Go file you a suit in the court. File your silver suit, and you can compel them to give that person a ballot. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. The Bible says we perish for the lack of knowledge, okay? We don't have, sometimes, if our understanding is not there, we perish for the lack of knowledge. Once you have it right here, then you have it, okay? All right, let's keep moving, because this is the naked truth. And then I want to say this, ignorance. Sometimes we just don't know. We just don't know. Sometimes people just, don't know what to do. So, when you think about Bush Gore 2000, those hanging chairs in Florida, and how that whole election, just one state, swung the election in the favor of George W. Bush. Think about it. George Bush, amen, he became president because of pregnant chairs, hanging chairs, and after they counted the votes, hey, he was in there. But that was a problem. We had to have a recount and everything. But like I say again, but as a matter of fact, after the election of 2000 with Gore and Bush, the state of Florida didn't purchase new voting machines where they could record the paper. They had paper trails. But right now today, there are over 7 states, at least 7 states in the United States, who rely solely on software to calculate people's votes. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can go on the internet, go to YouTube, you can look at various elections where people have gone in and they've hacked the machines. Listen folks, they hacked the machine. So they hacked the machine to where the machine is, I don't care, if they can put the machine at 54 to 46% in the favor of the Democrat. 56-44. And guess what? I don't care if 80% of the people vote for the Republican, the Democrat gonna still win because the system, the machine is calculated, is manipulated to do what the software engineer programmed it to do. Almost like the casino, going to the casino. Anybody in their right mind know that at the casino, those machines are calibrated, they manipulated, and they know when you gonna win, they know when you gonna lose, everything is calculated, okay? So if they can do it to the machine at the casino, they can do it to the machines out here in the free world also. Hackers. I say this, we have a very little faith, very, very little faith in our electoral process in America. Because we know it's dirty, it's rigged, it's not right. There are no honest. The only way we're going to have an honest election, let me say it again. The only way we're going to have an honest election in America is if we take away all the curtains, take away all of those petitions, remove the boxes, and you sit out in the wide open. Hey man, look, if you're a Democrat, Republican, or a liberal, you ought not be ashamed to cast your vote for your candidate. That's your business. I understand the secrecy of the ballot, but listen, I understand this too. If we were living in an honest world, where everybody was honest, then I could see us doing that. But right now, man, we know that people are interfering with our electoral process. And I guarantee you heard it on the Naked Truth, and you've heard it already. If President Donald Trump loses this election, I guarantee you he will not concede to Joe Biden, not easily. Okay? That's not going to happen. He gonna cry something, and if Joe Biden lose the election fair and square, I'm believing that he's gonna concede. But I'm hoping that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they win this election. I'm voting for them, and I don't mind telling nobody I'm voting for them. That's my right. That's my individual right to do this. And I'm not saying Donald Trump is all bad, and I'm not saying Joe Biden is all good. But when I have to weigh my choices, I'm sticking with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, okay? That's it. And I want you to know this. The Naked Truth is not controlled by any special interest group, okay? Nobody pay us money to say anything on the Naked Truth. We speak our mind, we speak it freely, and listen, I'm telling you, we cannot trust the voting machine, and I want to add to it. We can't trust the people who operate in the voting machine. So the only way to do this thing, everything has to be out in the open. The only way we're going to have an honest election in America, we're going to have to do it out in the open with a paper and a pencil, a video camera, and that way if somebody say, hey, my vote didn't get recorded correctly, all y'all do is run the camera back and show what they marked or what line they were in, and we don't have no problem. This is Trace Andrus. I'm your host for The Naked Truth. Thank you for joining us on today. Look to see you again soon. Thank you.